So let's see what the Master Chief can do. I already know, I just want to show you. Taking apart this cardboard box. I mean, this is thin cardboard. This is probably what you will get most of. Now here's where I was pleasantly surprised. Cutting like this feels very, very nice. It has a very tall, flat ground blade, and it is very thin. Now, this was where I actually started liking the knife, because this felt very easy compared to most knives. You feel like you control the knife, and because it's so thin behind the edge, it really feels very good doing this cut. And you can see I'm going a bit cross grain for, I think, about 6 layers or 4 layers, and with the grain 4 other layers. So yeah. Now here's where flippers actually do suffer. If you have to cut something on a cutting board, you're gonna hit the cutting board with a flipper. There's no way around it. And if you like flippers, you're just gonna have to, work on the edge of the cutting board. Now, let's try to get this as even as possible. And now we're going cross grain with 8 pieces. And if you're slicing a bit, it just works like a charm. This is the advantage of a thin grind. I can't really control this. I don't want to cut my finger. But yeah, it does a very, very decent job. Try to keep the mess to a minimum. As for cuts like this, yeah, it does them very nicely. I feel like, the flipper actually helps in locking your finger behind it. But I can't help but wonder how cool would it be if it didn't have the flipper and you could choke up on the blade. I don't know what it is about a wide blade that I really like. And I don't even use the flipper to hang on to it. I just put my finger, I just noticed right here. Just works like a charm. Let's go with the grain. I really like doing this cut with the knife. It just feels so good. All right, no way I can control this and cut through it without actually cutting myself. Oh yeah. Ah yeah, we did it. So, success. Success. Now, I'm going to show you something and what I'm talking about, jimping and my personal sensitive area. This is it. I do a lot of cuts like this in testing blades, and this area just becomes very sensitive. And this jimping, if it would have been any more aggressive, like this one is on the Manix 2, it would have drawn blood, because that one did a couple of weeks ago. Just, you see this little spot right here? That was actually, I don't know, the corner of the jimping right here, when I just pushed on it, and it just, notice that there's a bit of blood there. So that's why I don't personally like jimping. But this one didn't, and those are a few hard cuts. Now, this is jute twine. Once again, cutting through this is just sharpness of the edge. How sharp your edge is. This is not that sharp right now. I mean, you can slice a piece of thinner paper, but this is not. This is the factory edge. My cold steel American lawman had actually the best factory edge that I've ever gotten. Maybe it was that they did something else. They sharpened it differently for CTS XHP. Maybe it was just it was left a bit coarse, a bit more coarse than others. Hollow ground blade, smaller edge angle. That one was okay. In the rest, yeah, there were some steels, more exotic steels, which had a good factory edge. But for most of the times, I really like to sharpen the knives as soon as I get them, and this is why I make these videos, because a lot of people don't. A lot of people just pick up a knife and start working with it, and I wanted to let you know sort of what you can expect when you pick up a knife like this. Now, this one has a decent belly. If it didn't, the flipper would get in the way, so you would actually have to work on the edge of the cutting board, or I prefer to use the belly like this. If I hold my index finger on the jimping, it's not as bad. I hardly do this cut, and I don't understand how it can give you stability, but yeah, it's not an issue. My entire issue is this portion where I do, like I said, I do a lot of cut tests simply because I'm curious, and that gets the brunt of the effort. If you could probably move further down, it would be less of an issue. Now, the distance between the scales is not that much bigger. I've also measured this. It is about less than a millimeter more than the Chevalier, and yet it feels so different because it has this wider handle. Personally, I really like this this style of handle. Now, let's just see what this will do. This is sisal rope, and I don't know what other people cut in their cut test videos. I sometimes use this. This is very, very hard. It seems to me like what other people cut is something more resembling this jute rope, because this is so hard. And there you go. I've kind of solved the problem. Just not choke up on the knife so much. But if you want to use the tip as efficient as possible, your index finger, the top portion of your index finger, will end up on the jimping. But if you just choke back on the knife, it's going to be much more comfortable. And like I said, I'm really liking the fact that they rounded off the liners here. So yeah, this is the Kubey Master Chief. Personally, I like it. It's, I don't know if it's, I mean, if you like big knives, and if you carry Spydercos, like I, well, for most of the times do, it's going to take up the same amount of space. But this has a very different handle. I expected to like the knife, but because it's a full-size knife, you get a much wider blade and a much wider handle. And I do enjoy a very wide, full flat ground blade. And the handle is the bigger surprise. I think that is my favorite thing about the knife so far, the handle being as cool as it is. And of course, yeah, I like the way everything works together. I almost cut myself simply because the blade is so drop shutty. I personally I don't like that. I see a lot of people, you know, chasing this drop shuttiness, you know, that the blade just falls down like a guillotine. I prefer it to hang around there and me just go back with a push or something. I feel much safer because I do tend to play around with knives all day long, and that's where I get cut. Oh yeah, if you care, centering perfect. I have no issues with it. So yeah, this is the Kubey Master Chief. There are links in the description, probably of both videos. And if you want to get yours, I think there's an Amazon US, and for Europe, only the main Kubey site. Guys, I hope you enjoy the videos. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, let me know, and I'll try to get to them as soon as possible. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a great day.